Hey, Liberty family. I'm James Wiggins, and I'm the hero of the week that we were talking about for class. I wanted to talk about David, and it's not King David, but the shepherd boy David. So I want to first start off with the when we see David referenced in Acts 13, verse 22, and when he being the Lord, had removed him being Saul, he raised up unto them David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will. So going back to the story that we went over with courageous faith, we see a David who is very much being told, "Hey, go check on your brothers." Right? You know, his father Jesse cares about his son, but he is worried about the welfare of his other sons that were actually fighting in the war against the Philistines. So I'm sure as a young man, David, this being his first time going to a combat zone, if you will, probably feeling a bit nervous but excited about it. I can definitely relate to that personally in my own life, especially going to Iraq when I was about 19, 20 years old, and just being excited but, scared and worried, but really looking forward to what the experience would bring. So back to David, though, he gets to the front lines and he's charging with Israel, and just shouting the war cry. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people were looking at him very weird, of like, who is this guy, right? Like the book was saying, who is this kid? What is he holding in the bag? But in that moment, I feel like David understood who his God was, right? He in his mind, he's thinking, yeah, we're gonna win this, right? I'm just checking to make sure my brothers are still alive and they're okay. But I can definitely say there were many times in my life where, like the Israelites, I was not focused on serving God, right? Or I forgot who my God was and forgot his power, right? To the point where somebody had to come along and remind me, kind of like David, somebody had to come along and remind me, hey, this is God. This is our God. Our God that we serve is almighty. He's powerful. He can do all things, right? We just have to believe and trust in him. And in that moment where, David is the one that accepts the challenge, right? He accepts the challenge given to the Israelites by Goliath. He walks out in faith and says, I know my God, and this is who I am. My God will be there for me in my time of need. And this was his time of need, to go against this Philistine and glorify Israel again, right? Bring glory back to Israel. But in that moment, he had his fair share of doubters, right? His brothers were trying to shut him up. Probably other soldiers were like, hey, keep him down. Like, what is he talking about, right? Not realizing who their God is, but David knows who his God is, and he accepts the challenge, right? And as he's going down, even the enemy, right? Even Goliath is sitting there and talking bad about David, like, oh, you're going to die, and I'm going to feed you to the buzzards, right? But then David does something that a lot of us forget that we have the ability to do in moments of hardship, right? We let the enemy know who our God is, right? Where David sat there and said, you come to me with swords and weapons and javelins, right? But I come to you with the Spirit of the Lord, essentially, right? He's saying that he is coming with his God because you have defied my God, and I'm going to make sure that you pay for it, right? He knows that he needs to defend his God, right? And even down to the very, like, running at Goliath, right? And then slinging the rock, right? David had faith that God would save him, would give him the victory that he needed, right? And as we know, how the story of David and Goliath goes, right? David slings the stone, it lodges right in Goliath's head. Goliath falls out, and David cuts off his head and is victorious in the battle, right? With the Israelites chasing the Philistines back to Ekron. So I think a lot of the times when I look at David, especially as shepherd boy David. There are plenty of times in my life where I was being told to shut up, right? Where I was being told to, like, hey, stop bringing this around us. But like David, I remind myself consistently who my God is, especially in this current time, right? Where our world seems to be falling apart every single day. I have to remind myself that my God is greater than our current circumstance. So, again, James Wiggins, love talking to you guys, and I pray that whoever's listening, I pray that you get a lot from this, and just remind you that, hey, Jesus loves you, and thank you for your time.